Anger can be used as a weapon against you. If you're the angry one, even if it's subtle, even if it isn't yelling, it can be used against you as a weapon. And when you start to manage your anger differently, you get a handle on it and you can control it. Yes, you can control anger and direct yourself knowing why your anger is there. You'll have the anger push. The anger push means all of a sudden, all of your relationships will be impacted. You're listening to the Bear in Mind podcast, episode 154.
A podcast that breaks it down so you can break the cycle for good. Now, your host, Tara Rama, but you can call her T.
Bear with me a little bit today. There's going to be background noise, so thanks for that. So we're talking about the anger push, and this is something that Harriet Lerner wrote in The Dance of Anger. I actually read that book twice, and I never read books twice. In this book, I've read twice, and I'm even going to go back and look at the highlighted stuff that I highlighted, and I'm going to put together a little synopsis. I think I'm going to post it on Instagram. That handle is in the show notes. It's tara.rama.tr. And she talks about what happens when you start to get a hold of your anger. And what I mean by getting a hold of your anger does not mean that you are happy all of a sudden. It means that you feel anger, you feel it, and then you understand it, and then you understand what course of action you want to take. Not from the emotion of anger, but you understand what anger, the message of anger is giving to you, and then from a calm emotion, just being calm, you decide this is the course of action I want to take. Because anger is about sending you a signal that maybe you want to change something, not that you always should change something. And when you get a hold of it, and if you constantly have habitual anger, and this I'm referring to in your relationships, you will tend to have habitual irritations with your partner, in friendships, with your children. And when you poke a hole at even kind of some of the running narrative that your kids shouldn't be this way, partner shouldn't be this way, they should be doing this, they shouldn't be doing that, all of the things that we want them to do and then they don't, and then we get frustrated for that. When we poke holes at that habitualness and we say, okay, why do I have this should attached to them? And we start to understand it and uplift that belief and make a shift in that, all of a sudden you're a lot less habitually angry. And then when the anger is there, it's a clearer signal. Oh, I'm now angry. Instead of just being kind of habitually angry all the time and frustrated with everyone else because they're not changing for you and doing everything you want them. Trust me, I've been there. But this time when you get the signal, it's like, okay, I'm angry. Let me take it in and figure out what it is and see if I want to change something about my behavior or see if I want to take a different course of action. That's what I mean by getting a hold of your anger. When this does happen at a more consistent pace and you're able to look at your anger, you get this anger push with your relationships. And I didn't realize this, and I hadn't connected it to what Harriet Lerner had said in the book. But as my habitual anger has gone down with my child, with my husband, because one of the things about kind of digging into that anger, if you're yelling or if you're having other behaviors that are coming out of anger, is that it applies to your other relationships. It's like, oh, I'm yelling at my kid because I think they should be like this. Oh, I'm frustrated with my husband because he should be doing this. It's copy-paste. You'll be able to take one learning from focusing on one thing, like stop yelling, and then apply it to all your relationships. So then I've been applying it with my husband, and I am a lot less angry. I'm a lot less frustrated with him, a lot more accepting. And I noticed that, and if you've listened to the previous episodes, all of a sudden I've noticed that my husband's been yelling more than usual. And he's becoming a little bit more frustrated with me, with our child. And this is what Harriet Lerner refers to. She doesn't call it the anger push, but she says it's like a push in trying to revert the status quo. So in our relationships, especially our longer relationships, there's kind of the status quo built. somebody is kind of always the slightly negative one, or someone's more positive, or someone kind of holds the anger. And I'm not saying this is true of every relationship. In a lot of healthy relationships, this does not happen. And I'm not saying the relationship is unhealthy if this happens, but there is sometimes, even in healthy relationships, there is a little bit of the status quo. A person will take on some of that, more of the anger, or more of an emotion, or more of the worry, more of the anxiety. And when that shifts, if you become less anxious, less angry, there's a pushback to return back to the status quo. And it's almost like watching somebody elevate their anger or elevate their anxiety and all of these things, almost like it's enticing you to get more angry. And I'm kind of watching this in this space. It's really a new thing for me, and it's very unreal to kind of see his anger increase, and I'm not taking the bait. And before, I was managing my anger pretty good, and I was starting to take the bait. So it's kind of getting back into that status quo where I'm kind of always the one that's frustrated and angry and trying to control everything and all of that. And now I'm just like, okay, he's angry. Okay. And I know why. I don't want to do anything about it. Oh, on this I'll do it, but I'll take care of it. I'm going to take the action. I'll handle it. I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm not going to make the request. If you've been listening to this, often the request is move the shoes out of the hallway, pick up the stuff, all of that. I just do it. I pick it up. I'm the one that has the issue with it. Nobody else in the house has an issue with it. So this is actually someone trying to maintain the status quo, because nobody likes change. Our brains don't like change because it's an indication that something's gone wrong in our survival. Even if we have clean drinking water and everything's okay, our brain will still seek out any sort of change and think that that is dangerous. And so from my husband's perspective, I can see that me kind of being more calm he's not really comfortable with that. And he's reacting to it, and he's not aware of it in his head. He's not aware of what's going on. And so this has been something really interesting, is this is how you actually end up impacting your relationships, is that you will then see maybe more of the real person of the other side. Not that people were trying to hide themselves, but if you're the person in your relationship taking on some of that weight, some of that exhaustion, the anger, there's really no space for other people to have it. So if you kind of back off and get a hold of that anger, and then you kind of give room for other people, then they can kind of show themselves to you. So I can kind of see that maybe my husband's a little bit more frustrated, because I can tell you, probably people that know us as a couple would probably think I'm kind of the negative, angry one. Oh, such a great husband, but she's not so great. That was kind of the rhetoric I would hear. And this is more from past friends, older friends, than it is today. But that was kind of the thing. Like, I was kind of the negative one. And it's only because it's not that he doesn't experience any less anger than me, or that he doesn't ever experience anger and he's always calm. In fact, by me consuming and taking on the anger for the family, it doesn't really give space for other people to be angry. If my anger kind of is more taking up space in terms of yelling, terms of trying to control people, trying to order them around. And this is a really positive thing, to give people space for those kind of emotions that maybe we don't give space to. And it's then allowing for that place of acceptance. Now, you can't jump from anger to acceptance, and I even talk about going from anger to feeling amazing. It's a gradual change, and even though that might not be something you want to hear, like it's gradual, it is a ladder. You can't go to the top of something, or you can't go to the top of a mountain. There's all of those famous quotes and stuff about without taking that first step up, the next step, and the next step. That is actually what you want to do. You don't want to go from anger to acceptance or anger to amazing, because it won't be organic. It won't be a genuine process. And when you do this, you learn so many byproducts, things about relationships and the kinds of relationships you want to have, that allow you to then to have those kind of amazing relationships. However you describe an amazing relationship, it allows you to have that. And I'm at this mode where I'm becoming more and more accepting of my family, and I'm allowing them to kind of have this space. And it's teaching me so much. This anger push, like how long will my husband try to bring it back where it kind of bait me a little bit into stepping into being angry, frustrated with him? How long will that take? What will happen? And what will be kind of like this new status quo? Because there's going to be a new status quo, because I'm not going to go back. I've had enough of the brain changes and the habitual changes not to revert back. Now, it happens every once in a while, like if I'm tired or sick, but I'm not going to go back. So there's going to be this new status quo happening. And that is kind of exciting. Even though it might be new and uncertain, everything, that is kind of exciting, because you are able to impact your relationship by understanding your anger, and you don't need anyone else to change. So then in essence, you have the power, you yourself have the power to change your relationships. That one person, that's it. And one emotion, one person, one emotion, and you can change all your relationships. How's that for 10 minutes? That's all I have for you this week. I'll check back with you next.
Thanks for listening. Listen for a new episode next Tuesday by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Bye for now.